Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fabulous Feature Friday. This is Susan Bach, and I'm your host for this weekly event. I'm thrilled to be with you today. And guess what? I'm the featured guest today. Honestly, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable to say that, but I am your guest today. And the reason I am your guest is because several of you asked me to share my story. I'm humbled by that request, and thank you for that. Because you invited me to step outside of my accustomed zone and to venture into a stretch, what I call the stretch zone for me. And that's a good place for me to be. So thank you for this opportunity. And let's jump right in here, do a little nod to the technology gods to make sure everything works. Share screen. Yay, we're good. Fabulous Feature Friday. As I mentioned, thank you for being here. Oh, here we go. To figure out where here is. So, when I started my business in 2001, I had a terrific vision. A vision of what I wanted my life to be, what I thought, my business would be like. It was a terrific vision. I was going to have a thriving, lucrative business that allowed me to have ample resources to enjoy the life that I dreamed of living. I'm here in Huntington Beach, California, not far from the beach. I moved here from Colorado because I wanted to be at the beach. I wanted that lifestyle. Here I am, if you can believe this, in 2001. This was my first professional photo shoot. Me in my office on the phone. Wow, that was a long time ago. Many things have changed since that captivating moment of excitement and energy. I was in business actually before I knew it. Going back up a minute. Prior to starting my business in 2001, I was a corporate executive, a C-suite executive with multinational advertising agencies. Our headquarters were in New York. I was here on the West Coast office. We had offices in Atlanta and Chicago, so I traveled extensively. One of our clients here on the West Coast was CBS. It was a very exciting, fast-paced, intense business to be in. Long hours, extremely gratifying, and time-consuming. After about 15 years, I made the decision, and the decision was made for me, that it was time to step out of that corporate arena and into something different. Why did I make that decision? Because the stress and the life and the lifestyle was not something that I could sustain. It was taking a toll on me mentally, physically, certainly emotionally. I needed to step out of that and out of the politics and out of the strife and into what I thought would be the easier way, and that was becoming my own boss. Taking responsibility for my future and my earnings and what I did each day. And I was so excited about that. I was also very fortunate because in the early years of my business, I didn't have to work very hard to find clients. This was time before social media. I was able to, fortunately, attract business from friends and colleagues from my agency days. They would call and say, would you help us with this project? Would you take on this for us? Would you help us with this coaching issue? So I was a consultant and coach because I wanted to be, because I enjoyed it, and because it came easily and effortlessly to me. That was very deceptive at the time. It was very deceptive to fall into the ease of thinking, this is what I want for the rest of my life. This is what I'll have for the rest of my life. That deception came to a big crash in 2008 with the financial recession that just brought about the country to its knees, including me, because within a matter of a month, I had no clients, no income, and no prospects. That was a scary place to be. The next few years were a real struggle for me. Struggle for me financially, struggle for my family, struggle for me emotionally. It seemed with each passing month and year, I would fall deeper into this dark hole of not knowing what to do, of thinking that I should know what to do to get myself out of this mess. To find the answers that I was seeking, my solution was to chase every new idea that came along, thinking that that would give me the money. On this treadmill of chasing, as I said, a new idea, a new thought, a new way of doing something, of marketing, of speaking, of whatever I could do. I was desperate. Our bank account was dwindling rapidly, and I was doing nothing except contributing to that dwindling effect. So after a time of not being able to figure this out on my own, I decided that it was time to start hiring some experts. By this time, it was probably 2010, 2011. And I hired one expert after another, which further diminished the savings account. By this time, I'm into savings or retirement. Well, my rationale for hiring each individual expert and buying each program that I purchased was this. I was seeking a solution, an external solution, and buying the results that someone else was experiencing. Not to say that these programs were bad or ineffective, or that the experts that I hired didn't have knowledge and wisdom to share with me. What I was doing was attempting to buy the result that worked for them, rather than going within and finding the results that I needed within. Excuse me, finding my answers, my solution. I kept thinking someday I'm going to find the right solution, the right answer. Someday, the next program, the next expert. Someday, I am going to just know what to do. It's like magically wake up and think, okay, today's the day. Each year, as someday didn't happen, I was further and further away from my vision. I became more disconnected from me, from the success that I had experienced, disconnected from the self-confidence and the self-assuredness that I had in the early days of my business. I disconnected from me. What I needed to do to kind of reestablish that connection, to bring me out of this vicious circle that I was in, which was to do more, work harder, try to be somebody I wasn't, all of which, as I said, disconnected me more and more from who I am. When that finally dawned on me that it wasn't working, again, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, I knew that I needed to do something very drastic, very different. And what that drastic step was for me was to stop everything, to stop the chaos, stop the frenetic activity, stop the frenzy, stop searching out there for the answer, to get very still and quiet and go within. to trust the wisdom within me, to reconnect with my voice, my intuition, what I call my inner self, my higher self, to reconnect with that voice that has never lied to me, has never had a hidden agenda, has never disappointed me. This was the voice that I had discounted or dismissed or ignored for years. And out of necessity, I knew that I needed to reconnect with that voice. The wisdom was within me. It always had been. I just didn't go within to ask the right questions. As a result of this near breakdown that I was experiencing, to survive mentally and physically, to stop the constant struggle, to stop trying to be someone I wasn't. That was a big one for me. To just accept that I cannot be them. I am not them, whoever them is. And the harder I try to be like them, the more I am discounting my value, my worth, my contribution. So I stopped trying to mirror what other people were doing, and I held the mirror up to myself. Choked up even thinking about that. That was a moment for me. Ultimately, what I did was ask myself 3 questions. Just 3 very simple questions. Short questions, not easy questions. The first question that I ask is, what makes me unique? The second was, what do I do easily and effortlessly? And the third is, who do I love to work with? So let's take a look at each one of those questions and the answers that I found within. And while I'm sharing with you the answers that I found, I would invite yourself to give yourself permission to go within and to reflect on these questions and to listen with your heart. Not the judgmental voice, not the critical thinking. Listen with your heart to your answers. So what makes me unique? Well, the answer to that question actually came about in 3 parts, excuse me. The first was, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I love self-assessments. I am a self-assessment junkie. I own it. I claim it. I'm out there. I am a self-assessment junkie. Looking back now in hindsight, I can see why, and that's because that was part of my constant search to discover and get to know me, who I really was. Every assessment I took, I thought, just one more piece of the puzzle, one more nugget of understanding, one more gem of insight that will help me discover who I really am. Well, the assessment that I took ultimately, by this time we're now at about 2013, was the Carl Jung archetype, 12 archetype assessments. This assessment is available in a multitude of forms online. Just do a Google search of Carl Jung, Jung, 12 archetypes, if you're interested. And some of them are, most of them are for free. Some of them are for fee, excuse me. So I took this assessment and I discovered that my primary archetype is that of alchemist. Well, I immediately put my hands up and said, no way, there must be a mistake. Can't be. I was terrible in science. I don't like anything about science. I don't do math. I put up all of these reasons why that could not be true. When I was able to get over myself and say, hold the bus, Susan, let's just be open. Let's see what you could learn. I read the full description of the alchemist archetype. Some refer to it as the magician. It's the ability to take seemingly disparate parts and create something that is vastly unique and different. To integrate the individual parts or pieces into something that is amazing and unlike anything unlike the original form. So with that, I could say, well, okay, I do that. I do that in my decorating style, in how I approach problems. It's my problem-solving approach and technique. It's how I plan my garden. I could see how I use the ability without even knowing that that's what it was. So that gave me one little aha. So, okay, I can take these seemingly unrelated parts and make them into something that is just very cool and impressive. The secondary archetype that I have is that of a revolutionary. And again, throw up my hands. No, that can't be. I'm not a revolutionary. I could not be more mainstream, more middle of the road. I am just right in the center. Again, stepping out of my judgment and into curiosity, I could see that there was truth in that I did rebel against confinement, against restrictions that were imposed, that I did push back in certain aspects of society. I was a trailblazer in many regards. Once again, another piece to the puzzle. Well, when I put those two things together, that helped me realize and accept, this is who I am, and this is what makes me unique. The next question, what do I do easily and effortlessly? That one was a little bit more difficult for me because the attitude that I was raised with is if it's easy and effortlessly, that means that it's not valuable, or it's not important, or it's not significant. That for something to be truly valued and worthwhile, you have to work at it. It has to be difficult. It has to be hard. And if it's easy and effortlessly, that means you're not trying hard enough. Again, the realization is, who says that I have to struggle? Who says it has to be hard? Why can't I spend most of my time doing what I love to do and what I do easily and effortlessly? So I started making a list of everything that I love to do that's easy for me to do, like organizing and cleaning and creating and problem solving and integrating the parts, all of the things that I love to do and that are easy for me to do. The second part of that I did was I asked friends and family to tell me what they saw me do easily and effortlessly. That was very enlightening and quite humbling, I will admit. And the third thing I did was reflect on what people asked me to do for them. Reflected back on the clients that I had when I was in the early days of my business and what they asked me to do for them, what I was hired to do, what I was paid to do. Those three components then gave me a very definite understanding of what I do easily and effortlessly. The third question, who do I love to work with? Piece of cake. I love to work with women entrepreneurs who are just so ready to be all of who they are, ready to start experiencing the success that they dreamed of, success as they choose to define it, to share their uniqueness and their gifts with the world. I love that energy that comes with it. So with those three things, three answers, I was now in a much different place emotionally, spiritually, mentally. All at once, it was like, oh, I am whole and complete, and I can be 100% me. I am unique. I am special. I am different. Absolutely. And I am important. That was a pivotal moment for me, when I can embrace those four statements and be comfortable with that. I wanted the life and the lifestyle that we had previously. And now I was in a position to once again live that life and that lifestyle. I came home to me. Makes me get choked up again just saying that. I found the sweet spot, that natural flow and ease and comfort and grace that I had lost, that I truly probably had never had, but I found it. And it felt so right. I knew that I was now in my sweet spot. I was in my element. I was owning all of my uniqueness, all of who I am, and I was ready to take the next step. That's when I admitted that all of who I am is what my clients wanted from me. They wanted my uniqueness. They needed that. Just like your clients need your uniqueness. In fact, they want that. They need it. They deserve it. Because you are the only one who can share your unique gifts with the world. You are the only one. And when you are 100% in yourself, you have no competition. That was a big aha for me. I had competition when I was trying to compete with other people. When I am 100% in myself and owning that, I am liberated from the competition. I have none. Doesn't mean that there aren't people who are offering similar programs to what I do or similar services. No one does it the way I do. No one has my combination of alchemy and revolutionary and introspection and appreciative inquiry, all the tools and the techniques that I use. No one else has that unique combination. That's what my clients want, and that's what I monetized. I'm ahead of myself. Thriving, becoming a client magnet was very appealing to me because then I did not have to engage in what I call the icky sales conversations. I don't do that. I don't do it well. I don't like it. And so I don't. Regardless of how many classes I would take, how many programs I would hire, it didn't matter because I wasn't comfortable with that approach. Again, trying to be someone I wasn't. So I don't have sales conversations. I don't. And I flourish, and my clients flourish, and my business flourishes. It's amazing when you stop struggling how much easier it is. This is one of my, I love this photo. Several years ago, one of my clients crowned me the queen of questions, and here's the crown to prove it. That was a magical moment. I do love questions. That is one of the founding beliefs of my business, of my approach to life, that I believe we have the answers within. It's our responsibility to ask the right questions to reveal those answers so that we can honor ourselves and our uniqueness, that we can be all of who we are, and that we can share our gifts with the world. So I wear this crown proudly, humbly, but proudly, because I know asking the right questions and going within to discover my truth, my answers, and having my clients do the same thing is what turns their life around. It makes the difference. It's that that transformation that occurs from what has been to what can be. And that's a magical transformation to see. I want to wrap this up by saying this. Thank you, first of all, for listening to my story. I hope that you have found some gem, some wisdom, some useful nugget in the story. And if you have and you would like to explore this with me, I'd love to hear your story. You can email me or send me a private message through the Facebook group, because your story matters. Who you are matters. What you have to offer to the world matters. Only you can be the difference that you want to make. Only you can be the change that someone else needs and that inspires others to be more of who they are. I want your someday to be today. That's my wish for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being who you are and for your desire and willingness to share your gifts with the world, which we desperately need. I'll see you next week.